Alright, so Anime Expo happened this last weekend. I just got back yesterday and I'm filming this video today. And one of my highlights of the convention was being able to play and try out 15 minutes worth of Metaphor ReFantazio, the new Atlus jrpg, and I'm very excited for it. It is one of my most anticipated RPGs. It comes out of my birthday month. So I'll be taking a week off work and I'll be grinding this game non-stop. And it's a game that I'm really looking forward to. So I'm really happy that I got the opportunity to get my hands on in the game. I will say this though, I was only able to play it once. This demo build that they had on the venue, it was really cool. You're watching me play right now. I asked that lady working there if it was cool if I uploaded this. She said it should be fine, but should be didn't give me that much comfort. So if you're listening to a version of this video that doesn't have me playing gameplay, just know that my video probably got taken down, but I hope, fingers crossed, everything's okay. Anyways, I got to play 15 minutes worth of ReFantazio, but the demo actually had 3 modes. It had boss rush mode, which I didn't get to play. It had a story-based mode, which I also didn't get to play, and then the third mode, which I did play, was the dungeon exploration mode. Now, if I would have known that there were 3 modes, I would have definitely taken time, because I went for 4 days. I probably would have done like 1 a day. However, the lines were ridiculously long. I went the last day. The last possible thing I did on this convention was play this game. And I think I waited in line for a good 2 hours, because they maybe have 6 or so setups, and it's 15 minutes per person. So, I mean, and they only have 2 lines. So, and they have 2 lines, so, everybody should get a chance to play, but if you weren't there either early in the morning, you had to waste an entire con day just waiting in line, which is what I did the 4th day, because I was already done with everything else, so might as well play. But I chose the dungeon exploration because I thought that that's the one that would give me the most sense of how the game loop works, how the combat system works, exploring dungeons, picking up items, doing puzzles, stuff like that. Boss rush though was something I was interested in because I wanted to hear how the boss music sounded. I wanted to see how get a gauge on the difficulty. Story mode one, I was a little bit more apprehensive on. Again, if I had the time, of course I would have done it too. But one, I don't really want to get spoiled. I don't want to get dropped into some mid-game situation. And two, there's not, what RPG can you really get a taste of the story in only 15 minutes? Obviously the writing and everything I could have grasped, but 15 minutes worth of a quest feels almost a waste versus 15 minutes worth of combat and a little bit of story here and there. So, okay. Let's get into what I played and what I enjoyed in my first real immediate impressions. So, first thing I'm gonna say is this game oozes style, okay? It is very Atlus at heart, immediately this is a very Persona 5e UI. The themes, the colors, the art style, of course, very Persona. But it has its own identity. It is very important to drive this home because you see trailers and you see gameplay and all that, but it's very different when you actually pick up and feel the game for yourself. Even the way that the characters move, obviously it's a Trails to Daybreak-esque combat, so it's half action, half turn-based. So that's already set aside, but obviously it's a very fantasy world. You see an elf, you see a cat lady in your party, you already have 3 different races, stuff like that. So even down to just the UI, the elements, the sound design, everything is just immediately a breath of fresh air, immediately very unique. It is ironic that an Atlus game that is set in a fantasy world is unique, where it seems like these days, obviously we're getting a lot of modern RPGs, but there was a time where fantasy was so generic and modern times was the fresh air, but now we're kind of going backwards, which is just an interesting observation. But yeah, I didn't get much of a story really sense here, but the writing, the character dialogue that I did see was a very tiny moment where just a rabbit girl was trying to ask help for the party, and everything seemed fine. It seemed serviceable, nothing that absolutely blew me away. But I didn't even know these characters' names or anything, so obviously I'm not familiar with what exactly is going on in the situation. They didn't even give me a context of what I'm doing in this dungeon. But my characters were level 10, so I'm assuming this is an early, maybe leading early game dungeon. depending on how long this game is and how long the level scale. But considering it's an Atlus game, it's probably on the longer side. But yeah, so already the aesthetics is very, very, very different. Another thing that I did notice is the music. When I entered a battle for the first time, the song that played in just a regular battle was amazing. It sounded almost creepy, like this like really weird vibe. I don't know if this is exclusive to dungeon, like this dungeon. I don't know if this is the battle track overall. But it's hard to explain. It had vocals, but not in a Persona sense where they actually spoke. It was like a choir. It was like, oh, but like it sounded really weird. It was like guys singing a choir, almost sounded like Shakespearean, with like this loud like live band sounding thing just blaring. And I've ended up fighting not the most unique enemies. It was just these like little wolves. But the first thing that I noticed is, all of these wolves were just getting one shot by my sword, and my characters were not OP. They were level 10. But I was just able to use the Y button. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I was using an Xbox controller, which is the controller I am least familiar with, which sucked because I kept on misinputting. But that's the only one they had, and it's fine. But you press the Y button, so it would be the square in the PlayStation controller, and that's you're just swinging your sword. You just do a basic combo. I don't know if the combos are gonna get more convoluted. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that far into this game. I haven't. Kind of want to go in a little blind, but anyways, I was using Y to do my combos, and the wolves were dying quick. Right? It's not a situation where it's like a Persona 3 Reload or like an SMT where you just hit them and then okay, now you go into battle. Like no. Like you can completely finish the battle outside without engaging in the turn-based at all. One thing I did notice though is that you can still do a turn-based with weak enemies. I was under the impression, and I honestly, it might be a situation where I was the only one under this impression, that only the tough fights are turn-based and easy fights, no matter what, are action. That's what I thought this game was. So I was like, oh, okay, so are like most boss fights and like bigger, tougher enemies are turn-based, and then everything else is a hack and slash. Like I guess that can be kind of cool, but I didn't really understand that. No, there's freedom here. Now I don't know if it's the other way around. Can you completely action a tough enemy? I am not sure. I didn't get that chance because the only tough enemy ran up behind me and forced a turn-based battle, so I didn't get to test that theory. But there is a benefit to the turn-based though, because I did notice that when I attacked the wolves and I killed them right away, they gave me significantly less resources than if I did a turn-based. Now, I'm not sure about this, but I believe this is true. When I hit the wolf once and it died, right, it gave me XP, coins, all that. When I pressed, instead of Y, I had pressed X to engage in a turn-based battle, it called it a squad battle. So all of my party participated, and then all of my party got XP and all of my party got resources. So I think your characters, like your party members, cannot level up off you just swinging your sword in the overworld. And in this particular build, I really tried to look around, but I didn't have much time. I didn't see a way to change your leader. So I had 3 party members. I had the main character, the one all cover art, red-haired, like elf-looking girl that had a giant spear, and then this other knight, tall blonde dude. I didn't see any button or quick command to change who was running in the overworld. I would assume that's a feature, right? That makes sense. I mean, I can't really see why that wouldn't be a thing, but that is something to keep in mind. Turn-based battles are still worth your time, and turn-based battles are still being able to do with any enemy. Like, I'm sure you can play this game fully turn-based, completely ignore the action part of it, and still have a good time. So yeah, the combat was really interesting. They threw me in. I had a good amount of skills, maybe like 3 skills per character, and they all did very different things. So the first thing I noticed, and again, this might be something that has already been in overview trailers, but I have been kind of trying to teeter away from watching trailers on games that I'm just hyped about in general, because I'm like, I know what metaphor I want to play it, but I couldn't pass an opportunity to play. I had to be an exception to me actually being able to play. But anyways, I did notice that the characters almost have like, I don't want to say personas or demons, because that's not really what's happening here, but the characters themselves turn into these new forms almost. So for example, the redhead girl that I was talking about, she gets this minotaur form and her spear gets really big, and this only happens when you use skills. Okay, so similar to a persona game where your personas are the ones that have your skills and then your character has the basic attack, that's exactly what's going on here. Your, I don't even know what they call it, your different form, because the character literally physically turns into that being. The blonde dude turns into a huge knight with a sword and a shield. Those are the ones that have your skills, and then when you do your basic attack with your basic weapon, that's your character not transforming into a basic attack. Another thing I noticed is that there is a weakness system. Okay, so I hit one of the enemies with a regular sword and it counted as a weak. Then I hit it with the spear and it did not count as a weak. So you know, there is status elements, there's weakness, but there isn't a press turn. I don't think it didn't give me another turn when I hit a weak. I think it might just be more damage. I could be misremembering that though, but I don't remember it being a press turn. Another thing that I noticed is that there's combo attacks, which is really interesting. So one of your other commands is that if you build this gauge, which is almost a press turn. There's like these little crystals on top, but I didn't see a chance to earn or lose them. One of my characters did miss, and I did not lose a press turn. So I'm not sure what they're calling this new hybrid press turny system, but you do have crystals on top of yours, on top of the UI when you're in battle, that dictates how many turns you have. So you can use like 3 crystals for your entire party to do like a team up attack. It's very different than your all out attacks, but it's like, okay, I can have the redhead girl and my main character do a combo attack where like she wills them up with wind cyclone, and then my character goes in there and then like slashes them and stuff. And it looks like every single character had a combo attack with each other, which was very interesting. I didn't get to use many of them because it would eat up a lot of resources, and I wanted to explore more of their thing. But the ones that I did use, they were cool, and the animations were really, really good. Like they looked like ultimate attacks, even though they weren't. Like they were very flashy, very fluid. And that's another thing, this game is very quick on its feet. The action, of course, is quick. The combat in turn-based is very quick. It goes in and out of battle. It has this really flashy way to go in where it zooms in on your character's eyes, and it's unique to if you have an advantage, a disadvantage, or if it's a neutral. Your character's like, it zooms in on his face and it gives you a different expression. Which I thought was really cool. And then when you finish the battle and it displays all your loot, you know, all the XP and gold that you earned, it shows your characters walking on the side, and there's like this cool paint splatter effect, and you know, everything, you know, the art design, it's an Atlus game. These are always beautifully designed. You can tell there's so much passion put into just every little minute detail of this game, and it really shined in the 15 minutes that I played. Another thing that I noticed was just the art style in general. You know, it's very, I feel like although it's similar to Persona and SMT, it also has its own charm to it. You know, it's a lot more fantastical, right? So even the environments felt, I don't want to say cartoony. I think cartoony is the wrong word, but they felt, I guess, refreshing, right? Like there was more cell shading, I believe. The walls of this castle were very shaded, very cool. You know, there wasn't it was dark, but not like grim dark, you know, like, but it also wasn't colorful either. It's metaphor, like it's its own style. That I did notice that when I was running around the environments, very beautifully crafted. Everything was, you know, it wasn't just one flat texture as a wall. Like, no, everything was just very stylized. The text bubbles were stylized. Like, again, style. This game definitely oozed it, and it's one of those things where, like, if you don't like the aesthetic of this game, it's everywhere. So you might not jive with the game as well as I did, because I really did fall in love with this art style. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I've noticed. I think that I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Again, I didn't get to go very, very far in the dungeon. I didn't even get a single puzzle. I opened up a few doors, I beat up some wolves, and then I got bomb rushed by a minotaur guy, and I really explored the combat. And then as soon as I beat the minotaur guy, my tutorial ended, and I really wanted to play more, but that's about it. So yeah, that's my first impressions of Metaphor ReFantazio. I really enjoyed it. I definitely made me even more excited, so you know, that's always good for a demo. And yeah, I hope I was able to shed some light or share some hype on this game when it comes out in October, so just a few months here. But yeah, thank you for watching my video, and you know, thanks for visiting my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.